Who were you before the world told you who to be? The wild child that you were that has been numbed and pushed down. I'm going to read to you an excerpt which is fabulous, which I think might awaken you to that in words better than I can say, from Untamed by Glennon Doyle. And again, I accidentally bought the large print. Like, okay, I'll just read it. And this is from her first chapter called Sparks. 4 years ago, married to the father of my 3 children, I fell in love with a woman. She got married to Abby Wambach, a woman that I just saw her and I'm like, I would have fallen in love with Abby too. She has the most amazing, powerful, strong energy. And she reminds me of a massage therapist I had years ago that's not in my book that I had a super huge crush on. Oh, I digress. I would definitely have a relationship with a lesbian that's like Abby Wambach, that masculine strength in a feminine body, strong and powerful and tender and like so deep. She's done a lot of work on herself. Anyway, much later, I watched that woman drive away from my home to meet with my parents and share her plan to propose to me. She thought I didn't know what was happening that Sunday morning, but I knew. When I heard her car return, I settled into the couch, opened a book, and tried to slow my pulse. She walked through the door and directly toward me, bent down, kissed my forehead. She pushed my hair aside and took a deep breath of my neck like she always does. Then she stood up and disappeared into the bedroom. When I turned around, she was right there in front of me, down on one knee holding a ring. Her eyes were certain and pleading, wide and laser focused, sky blue, bottomless. I couldn't wait, she said. I just could not wait another minute. Later in bed, I laid my head on her chest while we talked about her morning. She had told my parents, I love your daughter and grandchildren like I've never loved before. I've spent my entire life searching and preparing myself for them. I promise you that I will love and protect them forever. My mother's lip quivered with fear and courage as she said, Abby, I have not seen my daughter this alive since she was 10 years old. Much else was said that morning, but that first response from my mother jumped out at me like a sentence in a novel begging to be underlined. I have not seen my daughter this alive since she was 10 years old. My mother watched the spark in my eyes fade during my 10th year on earth. Now, 30 years later, she was witnessing the return of that spark. After that day, I began to ask myself, where did my spark go at 10? How had I lost myself? I've done my research and learned this. 10 is when we learn how to be good girls and real boys. 10 is when children begin to hide who they are in order to become what the world expects them to be. Right around 10 is when we begin to internalize our formal taming. 10 is when the world sat me down, told me to be quiet, and pointed toward my cages. These are the feelings you are allowed to express. This is how a woman should act. This is the body you must strive for. These are the things you will believe. These are the people you can love. Those are the people you should fear. This is the kind of life you are supposed to want. Make yourself fit. You'll be uncomfortable at first, but don't worry. Eventually, you'll forget you're caged. Soon, this will just feel like life. I wanted to be a good girl, so I tried to control myself. I chose a personality, a body, a faith, and a sexuality so tiny I had to hold my breath to fit myself inside. Then I promptly became very sick. When I became a good girl, I also became a bulimic. Bulimia was where I exhaled. A good girl must stay very small to fit inside her cages. She must leave no outward evidence of her hunger. Good girls aren't hungry, furious, or wild. All of the things that make a woman human are a good girl's dirty secret. Back then, I suspected that my bulimia meant that I was crazy. In high school, I did a stint in a mental hospital, and my suspicion was confirmed. I understand myself differently now. I was just a caged girl made for wide open skies. When I saw Abby, I remembered my wild. I wanted her, and it was the first time I wanted something beyond what I had been trained to want. I loved her, and it was the first time I loved someone beyond those I had been expected to love. I looked hard at my faith, my friendships, my work, my sexuality, my entire life, and asked, how much of this was my idea? Do I truly want any of this, or is this what I was conditioned to want? Which of my beliefs are of my own creation and which were programmed into me? How much of the way I look and speak and behave is just how other people have trained me to look and speak and behave? Who was I before the world told me who to be? Over time, I walked away from my cages. I slowly built a new marriage, a new faith, a new worldview, a new purpose, a new family, and a new identity by design instead of default, from my imagination instead of my indoctrination, from my wild instead of my training. What follows are stories about how I got caged and how I got free, and that's only on page 7. I fucking love this! And I want to say, the reason I think I feel so happy, because I think about that, why am I so happy? It's because I refuse to be fucking caged. And one area I will not be caged is people's demands on my time, on my sexuality. And honestly, when I was in a family, there's a lot of caging being part of a family. As I wrote in the back of my book, what I did for sex. One of the excerpts is, I had my family, but I had lost my freedom. Well, now that my kids are grown, I'm not responsible for anyone. I'm only responsible for myself, and I will not be caged. And I want to say something about sexuality. I am a promiscuous woman with men who pay me. And through that, my promiscuity, my way, is what gives me my fucking aliveness. And no man is ever going to cage me. I'm going to put in my match profile, I'm a wild, promiscuous woman. I will not be caged. I don't know if I want to say promiscuous, guys. Maybe can't handle it. But in my mind, I'm a wild woman. That's why I made this video with my hair all full of sweat, because I was running. I like to run. When I run, I like to feel the wind blow through my hair. I just feel like I'm still a little kid running to school. I'm just running. I feel free and I feel wild. And I get that from bike riding too. I feel free and wild. And when I'm doing ball slams at the gym, and when I'm fucking and sucking cocks, I feel wild and I feel free. And wild and free doesn't mean I'm hurting people. You know, wild and free is positive energy, it's vitality, it's aliveness. So I'm going to keep challenging myself. Where have I been holding myself back? What else do I need to feel alive and free? And I'm going to challenge you for the same thing. If you've read the book, leave your comments. I would love to know what you think about the book. I may just start a book club with this book. It's just so amazing, like breaking free of our freaking programming. I'm going to be on vacation for the next 4 days, and I may not be making any videos during that time. I may not, I don't know. I'm going to be with a bunch of family, and so my focus will be mostly on them. Thank you so much for watching my video.